So, to activate a web tool, you need to come to the top of the screen, past application sharing, and then you will find web tool. It's the earth over the screen. So we'll click that. Now it'll ask me to enter a URL of my choice. So I have a couple here. I will choose this one first. Copy and paste this. So here we go.
Now can I stop you right there just a second? Because people don't always know how to copy and paste because they're used to right-clicking copy, right-clicking paste. But what Chris just did were keystrokes, and that's the only way to copy and paste into the web tour. So you Control-C to copy, and then once you have your cursor up in the URL address bar, you can Control-V for victory, Control-V, and then that will paste it in. So, sorry to interrupt, you just have to copy and paste that way, not the normal way.
Okay then, so continuing on, once I have selected my URL, I will select it and press enter, and it will take me there. Now, there's a little box here called follow me, and as long as this is ticked, whenever you transition to another page, students will have to come to that page with you. So they can't just go off and do their own thing on the internet.
Not for long anyway.
Not for long. If they do transition to another page and you transition, they'll be dragged away back to your page. So you can keep control of them that way. We have an options box here, so let's just click that. We get two options: publish URL to chat, which I shall do now. So this is the URL that I've got entered here, and it's a clickable link in the chat if students are having issues entering it themselves, or if you haven't got follow on but you want them to go to it. And you also have the option to open the URL in the browser. And what this does is, I will use it now, it will open it in your own computer's browser. Now your students won't be able to see this, it'll just be you, but this is if you want to go ahead and explore.
And maybe share your desktop.
I mean, maybe, yeah, it will be easier now. If you have this and you would screen share it, you could do this activity with your students as if you were using the PowerPoint.
Yeah, so the student would say, alright, go to 75 degrees.
So I'll type in 75 degrees because they can't do that. Let's point the telescope.
Hot dog.
And then you would do the activity with the student, complete it, and then once you were done you could close the tab and go back to your classroom. Obviously you would prefer to do it in the classroom with the URL, but you can't actually interact with the students like this. Only you see this version of the game. They have their own version of the game in their own URL in the web tool. So by opening it in your own browser and screen sharing it, you can have a little bit more interactivity with them.
Yeah, you get more control and they have to keep talking to you. But it is fun for students to play the game themselves, and one trick with something like this is to say, okay, you've got 2 minutes, how many planets can you hit in 2 minutes? And they can then just fire away randomly at planets on their end and feed back to you at the end of the time. So I want to just go over some of these things. This is your normal new open, save, print, exit. I want to show you the save for a moment. You can save the chat box, especially if you've got some problematic chat that you need to report. So you can always save the chat for the lesson. There is also this whiteboard. You can save the whiteboard. So let me just pop over to the whiteboard quickly. And if I go to File, Save, Whiteboard. Now this is something your students can do too, so long as your slides are released to them. Gosh, it does get complicated, doesn't it? Let me show you. If I go to Tools, Whiteboard, and Protect Whiteboard. This used to be ticked automatically. It is not any longer, so you don't have to worry about that. But you might want to check it in your classroom just to be sure. If just tick that box. If in Whiteboard this box is ticked, then your students will not be able to save slides. So let's untick the box, and now students would also be able to save the entire whiteboard show if you want, or just a particular whiteboard slide. So you click on Whiteboard, and you can either do all the pages in the presentation or just the current page.
Even without seeing them, you don't have to see them to save them.
Yes, correct. So we'll just say all pages if you want, but typically students might just save one. Anyway, you click OK, and this is where you and your students have to do a little communicating. Obviously, you'll navigate, or they will navigate to wherever they want to save it. They can name it whatever they want to name it, but this is the important bit. A whiteboard slide can be saved in 3 different ways: as a whiteboard slide, as a PDF, or as a PNG file, which is a graphic. It's just a picture file, an image, PNG. Now, if students save this as a whiteboard, or indeed if you save it as a whiteboard, neither one of you will be able to open it. The only way to open another whiteboard file is inside a classroom. So tell them not to save it as a whiteboard file. If they want to save it for their records, save it as a PDF, and that means they won't ever do anything with it again, but they have the information. If perhaps they're saving something to help them build a PowerPoint, then they should save it as this PNG image file. And that way, once it's saved as an image, they can use that and copy and paste it into a PowerPoint. Okay? So those are the 3 different ways in which you could save. I'm going to cancel this now. That you could save either all or one of your whiteboards. It's really helpful because we have to evidence student work a lot. In some cases more than others, and often if they're not doing their homework, you give them an exercise to do on a whiteboard. You can either take a snapshot of it, or you can, I think if you do that, yeah, that's no good, is it? I'll just say OK and see what happens. It's just taking a picture, so that's no good. Let's delete that.
You can clear page to get rid of it.
Yeah, alright, I'll clear page this time.
Tells you the number of foreign objects on the screen.
Right, sorry, I clicked too quickly. So really what they want to do is save it as save whiteboard, but only save it as either an image or a PDF file. Okay, that was a long way of saying something very short. The other option here is open. Now, we're going to get into some of this in some later sessions. File transfers, which we do not recommend, and I'll explain why. Multimedia, that's a way of bringing in like a flash activity into your lesson. That's quite festive. Session plans, there's a whole course on session plans, and they really, really help you teach because you load everything in the classroom that you want to do, even web tours or screen sharing or whatever, before you even enter before the students ever get there, and you can just click from one item to the next. So it really helps your pacing, and it also, because you don't have to fumble around looking for things on your computer during the lesson, you can really concentrate on your students using this. There is a test function. I think I've tried using it once. It's a little annoying. You can look at it yourself. It's easier just to create a little test on PowerPoint slides, frankly. And then you could open a whiteboard. If you happen to save whiteboard files, then this is where you could open them up into a classroom. Okay. View, again, there's no real reason to go here. If you want to change the view, you just click these buttons. Tools. We're really not going to go into all these tools, so don't worry about that. But have a nip around and see what's there. Okay, you can do that yourself. If ever you lose your recorder, you can always, here it is, record the lesson. Never erase the recording, please. And whiteboard, again, you saw that a moment ago. But generally, you don't need those kinds of things for your lessons. Windows is sometimes useful, like if you want to load up a multimedia activity. Shall I do that now?
Could be a good idea.
Okay. Oh, if you're a maths teacher or science, here's a graphing calculator, which is kind of festive. So, here we go. You'll get a window like this, Multimedia Library, and you can load up Flash activities, which are Swift files, SWF, or you could load up videos here. There's a reason why that's problematic, but I'm just going to click to open. Again, it gives me a way to browse my stuff. Let's pop into Dropbox. Whoopsie. Dropbox, go to my intro for new students, and here's an activity I've just got saved on my computer. You will have to have these resident on your system to use them. So I'm going to double click that, and here we go. It's going to load up. Now it takes a while. Look at that, 6%, 8%. So if you're going to do this, you need to do it well before the lesson starts.
Just to be safe, I think.
Yeah, I mean, if you know you're not going to use it till the end of the lesson, fine. If it's part of your plenary, that's cool. But this would be an exercise that I would use in the middle of a lesson. So we're going to cut probably until it's at 100%. Okay, so I've highlighted this now. You can see that it's green all the way around, which means it's fully loaded up for me, and on this side, fully loaded up for the student. So all I have to do now is click play. So I'll do that right now. Alright, so this is a little decision-making game. Will you survive in ancient Rome with various maladies? You can click on these people and they'll talk to you.
Hello, my name is Marcus Decimus.
Yes.
And this is my wife, Helen Rubina.
Unfortunately, we have
live in a
to
beautiful
listen to
village
all
in
of
the south
this
of Rome,
before it'll stop.
close to the vineyards that have made us rich. I've been a senator of Rome for some time now, and have connections with all of the empire's greatest men.
Okay, that's thrilling. So each one of these couples, the students could, and they will do this on their own. This is exactly the same as that other little shooting angles game. Once you load an activity into the classroom in whichever manner, each student can go on their own quest, and you can too. So it's really, really important for you to have a mechanism for communicating with your students as you do these activities. For me, it was like a worksheet, and then at various times we would touch base and see what happened. Anyway, so they would choose a character, and then choose a disease, and on and on and on it goes. Now there is a little problem with Flash activities at the moment. I'll go middle class. Now I've clicked on that, and it's going to take about 60 seconds for it to actually go to the next screen. This is a problem that our classrooms are experiencing right now, so of course we wouldn't want to use this application this way. I'm going to close it for the moment and say yes, I want to halt playing it. It'll take you right back to where you were, and I shall close the screen down. Now, we just wanted you to know it exists, even though right now it's a little bit problematic and they're doing some troubleshooting on it. So I'm going to close this window down now. The other way, of course, you could play that game is, I'm going to go back to my platform. I'm sorry, if I click hard enough. And I'll go back to this activity and say, will you survive? And it will give you the activity actually in a web browser. Now this, I'm going to copy, and I'm going to I'll go ahead and close this web.
I think I know what you're going to do, and you can't web tour that.
Oh, because it's on our server.
Exactly.
Okay.
So
No, actually what I was going to do was put it in the, whoops, if I go back to the classroom, I was just going to put it in the chat box with Control V.
There we go.
And now students can click on this, and they can go to it themselves and play. So if you ever have, I'm going to close this and close this, and go back to the classroom. And there's a lot of activities, like these ones are listed activity, but check out the stuff that's in here. If it will run on the internet, you can give it to them in this fashion. Again, it just is all about planning ahead of time.